104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio this morning. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 101.
Yeah, 101. Here we go.
101.
Man,
So,
incredible,
I
right?
was watching Pure Country.
Okay. Why?
George Strait, because I love that movie. And I was thinking, like, one day we need to do, like, just a run of just, like, really awful, like, movies that, like, Pure Country that are just, like, complete garbage. And we just talk about, I know we do documentaries, but you gotta let me do this. Like,
it would have to be another.
we have to create another
podcast
oh
where we watch.
Can we just like go off on a tangent for a
where
little
we
bit
watch
and just like
whacked out
watch really
movies?
stupid movies for a while? Just
Yeah.
like dumb.
Just like we could come up with a name.
We could watch Con Air, talk about how badass
it took us like 30 episodes to come up with a name for this, so the name might come later. But yeah, watch just bad movies.
Yeah, we just watch bad movies and talk about how awesome they are.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Earth
Things
Girls
like that.
Are easy.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be
many.
It'd be kind of fun.
Horror movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of
so many out there.
Killer Tomatoes from what was one?
Yeah, that's great.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, right?
Dude, also great, crazy,
bro.
Toxic Avenger, which is
it'd be great to revisit some of those.
We could do all trauma movies if we wanted to.
Just make our kids watch it with us.
So. Anyway. I guess we're gonna have to create a new podcast down the line.
This is how magic happens. This is how $1 million ideas come to be.
We don't actually talk. We actually just talk when we do this, and that's how we come up with new stuff and everything else as we're doing this.
This is our corporate meeting right here.
So this week for Dark Side of the Stream, it was my pick, and I decided to go back and watch a documentary about the late great Amy Winehouse. It's called Amy. It's on HBO Max. And you should definitely watch it. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when she was coming out with stuff in the early 2000s and stuff, I
didn't dig it?
I wouldn't like, oh my God. Well, no, I didn't. It's not like I hated it. I knew it was.
It's a retro vibe. It was just a redo. Yeah, a
throwback.
Yeah.
But it was so popular, like, especially like Rehab. I was like, it was definitely not in my vein. Now, a couple of years after she passed, I really, I mean, I was big into jazz and stuff like that and soul music, but I really got into soul music as much as I am now. And I started realizing that the producers she worked with, the musicians she had, were some of the same musicians that I was listening to at the time. For example, like the Dat Kings, Sharon's band, who just are an incredible band that are under the Daptone label on the East Coast and kind of the West Coast. So if you're into soul music, check them out. They play on everything. Those musicians are studio guys. They are phenomenal. And why those records that Amy Winehouse made, specifically Back to Black, sound the way they do. They sound like they could have been, Wall of Sound stuff, the doo-wop groups. That's because the producers knew what she was trying to do and what she wanted to do, and then kind of created that stuff to that. So that's how I got into her. And then once I did, I was like, holy crap, she is Sarah Vaughan. She is Billie Holiday. She is Ella Fitzgerald. But she was like in her late teens and early 20s when she was doing this stuff.
Yeah, one of those old souls, yo.
Did you care anything? You probably were like, she's cool.
I said she's cool. I had a good vibe. People would come to karaoke and sing that Rehab song a lot, but
did you ever get on the
what?
You ever seen that song in karaoke?
No, I've never sang that one, man. No, I have not. No, but all the chicks would come sing that song. Well, it was a hot number, man.
At the time, yes. And again, Amy Winehouse, you got to understand that where she came from was she's a jazz singer, right?
Yeah.
She was unbelievably talented in what she could do. And I thought she definitely, for someone who only put out really 2 records, is extremely prolific.
Well, what's another one of those 27 Club deals?
Yeah. We can talk about that next.
What's the deal with this 27 Club?
You want to talk about that next?
We need to.
Get your tinfoil hat out. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio discussing Amy, the documentary on HBO Max about Amy Winehouse. Jay brought up a good point. She is now a member of the infamous 27 Club, which includes Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, and Kurt Cobain.
And so look what these people have in common. Like they're all kind of
okay. First, let's start. If that's a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Addiction.
Okay, I was going to start with out of the box creative.
Well, you want to do pros first?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Groundbreakers.
it's all just. None of it's really pros or cons. I think it's all just makes up what it is. out of the box creativity, kind of. Troubled for sure, probably.
Definitely. Yeah.
Addiction, like you said. Misunderstood, maybe.
Maybe that's part of what most of them we mentioned. They were the first. Right,
that too. I guess
there were no like girls trying to be like doo-wop singers in the early 2000s and like throwback stuff like there is now a lot.
But Kurt Cobain, was he the first of? I don't know. He was really just again, a throwback.
Cobain. I could get into the whole thing because I just went through this with my oldest, explaining like when you listen to this Nirvana record, this is what Kurt was doing.
Did you have the drug talk with your oldest?
No, but with him, it's not like I have to be like, okay, don't smoke dope, kid.
No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that while you're smelling of weed. No, that ain't gonna fly, man. That ain't gonna fly.
Like my parents, they tried to scare us.
If you're gonna do something, be responsible.
In the conversations that I've had with my oldest about drugs, I know that he's aware of it. I know that he understands, this stuff and this stuff, the type of people. But I also think that he's such a cautious person.
Like, yeah. Like, you think you'd be all
I
right,
can't get that kid to put tomatoes.
Well, we were just talking about
that
this morning. We were just talking about this morning. Somehow we have great kids. Where
how did you screw up?
Right
like
at 15 years old, we were doing crazy stuff.
Work out with kids this way. I don't know, but
somehow
thank God
we got lucky.
God.
The rock gods have smiled upon us.
So I think the conversation needs to be had because ultimately you can either be a kind of like a parent where it's like, I'm gonna kill you if you do this, or
that's not a good route,
do whatever you want. Yeah. Which in Amy Winehouse's case, that's kind of what they did with her. It was said many times in the documentary, she just wanted to have a father, and her father was so laissez-faire about everything.
Yeah.
A great example, the song Rehab. That's literally a true song about how everyone right before she started doing Back to Black, she already had a big bad drinking problem. I mean, it took her almost 3 years to make that next record after Frank because she's the type of person I think that needs severe drama in her life to write really good songs, and she did.
Which that happens.
I mean, you listen to Back to Black, and that's all personal stuff, and it's unbelievable that a kid in her early 20s was writing this type of material.
So it's like you need that for the product, but in your life it's a balance because too much of that in your life is not good.
It's bad times.
And then what do you do if you're in their camp? Like I always feel like some people close to these people, how do you not intervene?
Well, see, that's the thing. In the beginning, she had a really good core of friends. The person that was managing her at the time was really close to her, and they all stepped in and said, "Look, you need to go to rehab.
Right.
You're drinking every day. You're playing pool all the time. You're smoking. All you're doing is just drinking. And you're so young. Come on. Like, what's the deal?" And she goes, okay. If my dad says I need to go, I'll go.
Pops.
And he said, no, you don't need it.
And
then eventually writes that
came
song.
Out the song,
right?
though, biggest hit. They made the biggest hit.
It's true. But how the hell can he look at as a father and go, dude, I had an opportunity to step up and say, you know what? Because if she had done that, there's a chance she would have fallen off the wagon. Because again, as she got more famous, there were more people leeching onto her. But she would at least had that foundation that she could have gone back to. You know what I mean? To go back to, okay, I understand this about myself. I need to do this. But it never happened because ultimately the person that should have had her back more than anybody else, her father, didn't.
Yeah,
and I wonder if he'd be willing to take that back. I don't know. We're discussing Amy, Dark Side of the Stream, next on 104.7 The K. (104.7 The K). Mike, the intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio discussing Amy, the documentary on HBO Max about Amy Winehouse. I know you're like, what do these two rocker dudes know? Well, I love soul music, and Jay actually does have some taste despite his love for Motley Crue. So he does understand what talent
and
is.
I just noted there's a Frozen man behind me now.
Oh my God.
This is new. This is new. There's a Carbonite man behind me.
The thing that really broke my heart about this is like, I knew a lot about Amy going into this documentary, but the amount of footage they had of her as a developing artist.
It's great when they have that stuff.
You know, for the longest time, I wasn't aware. I knew that she wrote her own songs and stuff, but I always thought that like there was a guy with her. Like, okay, this is kind of the progression we want. No. Dude, she did it all over herself.
Talented, man.
You're talking about a 16-year-old girl in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Soul jams,
playing complex jazz chords.
While everybody else listening to Britney Spears, she's doing this.
And NSYNC and all that crap.
Yeah.
She's literally sounds like Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday, and doing vocal stuff that those artists do that make their vocals sound like an instrument.
Legendary, dude.
Just unbelievable. And she's like in her late teens, and she's doing this stuff herself. That blew my mind. And you could see that I think it was one of her like piano players or guitarists that said that she had a very personal relationship with music and that she would die for it. And you could tell, especially in the early days,
you feel it, man.
Like how she just she gave it everything, and then the substance starts to creep in and take over. And that sucks because we were talking about, she needed that drama to create those albums. And Back to Black is a classic. I mean, dude, that's a classic album that will be played
without
forever.
The substance. There probably would not be that album. So it's
but like some of the guys said, if we had gotten to her early, there probably wouldn't be a Back to Black.
Right.
And would I rather have Amy versus that? Of course they would rather have her.
Problem, man.
But ultimately, substance abuse got the best of her. She was with a ton of crappy dudes that just used her and just were not cool to her. Now, granted, she had her own things. I mean, she got 3 or 4 assault charges, and she would. She definitely wild, and she would fight back.
Wild out.
But I mean, at a certain point, from what I understand, I mean, she was using crack cocaine so much that she ultimately gave herself emphysema. You're talking about someone with a God-given talent
and young.
In her 20s, dude, emphysema from chain smoking crack cocaine.
That's messed up.
I can't even imagine. I just the amount of that
next
level. Get to that point.
Next level, dude.
It's just insane. And ultimately, she also dealt with bulimia.
Yeah.
And this is another person that failed her. And her mom's talking about when she was in her early teens. She goes, Mom, I came up with this great diet. I can eat whatever I want. And then I just get rid of it. And she did that her whole life. And nobody said, her mom didn't even say, whoa.
Yeah, this is
you're
where
puking up your meals. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, that's bad. That's bad times. Bad times. No.
Yeah, there could have been
some. I didn't really think too much of it.
Could have been some better parental guidance.
What
in this
the
scenario.
hell?
Yeah, for sure.
There was another story about how they were at a studio and they brought this whole spread, and she just gobbled up everything and then disappeared. And then one of the female assistants went to use the bathroom and came out, grabbed one of the producers and said, I think we have a problem. And so ultimately, that they think that also compound that with her excessive drinking, which she ended up dying from alcohol poisoning. Yeah. But the bulimia that she went through just made her so weak. I mean, your body doesn't have any nutrients. You can't function that.
Probably what brought down the emphysema too. Your just body's too weak.
Yeah, she just destroyed it. And you look at her, the progression of her as a young talent, young musician, she looks great, Yeah. But then as she got older, it just became just like it just took its toll, and it's just heartbreaking to watch it happen because what the end of the story is.
Yeah, you know what's coming, like watching Titanic.
You know what's going to happen to this person, and it just breaks your heart. So if you ever have any kind of issues with substance abuse, eating disorders, depression, which this woman had all of it.
Yeah, all of the above.
I hope to God you can find help. You need to go talk to someone.
You can get out. You can turn your life around. You can turn it around.
Really can. And honestly,
I've seen it from to turn around.
I swear to God, I say this all the time. It does not make you less of a man, or less of a person, a weak person to seek help and to get someone to talk to you.
No,
it doesn't. It actually makes you stronger because admitting that there's something wrong with you or that you've got something wrong takes strength.
Hey, there's something wrong with all of us.
All day.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
It ain't no big deal, man.
Yeah, and we move on. We live. And if you need someone to talk to or some help to get through it, you need help. Get it. We'll discuss our reviews
and our pick
Amy
for next
and
week.
Our pick for next week. Dark Side of the Stream returns in a few minutes on 104.7 The Cave. Like the Intern, Jay Stevens, Springfield's Pure Classic Rock, 104.7 The Cave. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 101, discussing Amy, the documentary about Amy Winehouse. I will go out by saying this. If you like doo-wop groups, if you like soul music, if you're not familiar with her, pick up or just stream Back to Black one time. Just listen to that album front to back, and I guarantee you will hear what I hear in it. Frank is also a great album. It's a little bit more jazzy, and a little bit more stripped down than the production that Back to Black became.
Stuff, man.
But it's incredible, and the talent's there. And thank God we at least got the music. I would side with her friends early on that said maybe if they got her to go to rehab early on, we wouldn't have got Back to Black, but we would have had an incredible. I would have gone to see her all day, and unfortunately we didn't get to do that because she didn't get the help she needed or wouldn't take it or whatever the case may be. But I would give this documentary a solid 4 complicated jazz chords.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, good, nice one. Yeah, the weird ones where you got to use your pinky on.
Like you're like, how does my hand stretch? Like your house learning jazz guitar, and they're like throwing chord sheets at me and like augmented sevenths and minor, major fifths and all this stuff.
Taking that long way home.
Like, how many times I got to change this? There's no way. These guys are unbelievable. Anyway, what is Jay's pick?
I saw a preview for it. Haven't watched it yet. I think it's called "I Just Killed My Dad."
Netflix. Yeah,
Netflix.
I was watching that as I was finishing up the Sandman.
I saw a preview, had a good little teaser, so I was like, all right, that's what we're doing, man.
All right, cool. I Killed My Father on Netflix.
Wait, is that what it's called? I Killed My Father? But yes.
Also, I'm going to take this moment to tell you because I want him to have a season 2. Please, God, watch the Sandman. Everybody watch it. It's like the #1 stream show in the world right now.
Mike and his comic books.
Dude, watch the Sandman. It is such a great story. Neil Gaiman is my favorite. It's Stephen King, Neil Gaiman at a tie, my favorite authors of all time, and he is so good in that story. Is so good.
Shameless. Knocked it out of the park. Hashtag not sponsored.
All I want, I'm not getting any money off this. I just want people. I want a season 2, and the more people that watch it, the more money they'll put behind it. So we'll get another season, and we need one because there's some really cool stuff coming up in the story if they get to do it. As always, you can listen to these as a podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app. If you have a smart device, you can do it there. You can watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, or online, 1047thecave.com.
Or you can come down to the studio and hang out.
Yeah, come down. We got our clothes on today, so you never know what'll happen next. This is Jay Stevens reminding you,
we watch
movies,
documentaries,
so you don't have to. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.